Good evening, everyone. In this lecture, we will be discussing electromagnetic plane waves, which are based on your Maxwell equations. And another thing is that the book which we are going to use it for is Samuel L. Lyo. I'm using the PDF of it, and I will share you the PDF which I'm using for the purpose of making this lecture. So I hope that you aware what are the Maxwell equation in vector form. So the electric and magnetic wave equations for in terms of Maxwell's are so the electric and magnetic wave equation can be basically derived from Maxwell equation, which is in time domain, are expressed as curl of your this curl of electric field is equals to minus d by dt of b vector, where b represent here your magnetic field. Curl of your H vector, which is your magnetic intensity, is equals to J vector by plus d by dt of d vector. Your H vector is your magnetic intensity and d is your electric field intensity. And curl, the dot product of curl vector with d vector is equals to rho v. Rho v is your volume charge density, and curl dot product with magnetic field will be equals to 0, where the magnetic operator curl is expressed by d by dx of ux plus dy of uy, d by dz of uz in Cartesian form. In cylindrical form, it will be d by dr of ur. Ur is your can say unit vector. U represent your unit vector in the direction of x, y, and z. In a similar way, in cylindrical form, we have r, phi, and z. So it will be ur, u phi, and uz. In terms of spherical, it will be r, theta, and phi. So it will be d by dr of ur plus 1 upon r d by d theta of u theta plus 1 divided by r sine theta d by d phi of u phi in spherical format. So as E vector is your electric field intensity, it is defined in volts per meter. H vector is your magnetic field intensity in amperes per meter. D is your electric flux density, or you can say it's electric density in coulombs per square meter. B vector is your magnetic flux density in Webers per square meter or in Tesla. The relation between Tesla and Gauss is equals to this. And J vector is your electric current density in amperes per square meter. Rho V is your electric charge density in coulombs per cubic meter. Remember that the electric current density includes two components, that is J vector is equals to Jc plus J naught, where Jc is equals to sigma E is called conduction current density, and J naught is the impressed current density, which is independent of the field. So the current density J naught may be, recall, be a current prescribed by an external agency, but more often it is simply one which we know from measurements before we start to find the fields. Alternatively, we can say that J naught is often the current on a surface or in a region. In most cases, however, the current density source J naught may not exist even. In addition to Maxwell 4 equation, the characteristics of the medium in which the field exists are needed to specify the flux in terms of fields in a specific medium. These conjugative fields relations are in addition to Maxwell's 4 equations. In addition to Maxwell's 4 equations, the characteristics of the medium in which the field exists are needed to specify the flux in terms of the field in a specific medium. These constitutive relationships are D vector is equals to epsilon E vector, B vector is equals to permittivity into H vector, and Jc is equals to sigma E vector, where epsilon is equals to epsilon r, epsilon naught, where this is your constant with respect to the space, the propagation area in which we are. Mu equals to mu r into mu naught. So epsilon is the dielectric permittivity or capacity of the medium in farads per meter. Epsilon r is your relative dielectric constant, and epsilon naught is equals to 8.854 into 10 raised to the power minus 12 is the dielectric permittivity of vacuum or free space. Mu is equals to magnetic permeability or inductivity of the medium in Henry's per meter. So these are basically all the values of the constant which we are going to use. Now, in terms of a sinusoidal time function in form of e raised to the power j omega t is assumed, d by dt can be replaced by j omega. So if you remember your Fourier transform where we were using these things, that d by dt can be replaced by e raised to the power we were using by j omega when we were explaining them in your frequency domain. In a similar way, we can write that curl of E vector will be equals to minus j omega mu h vector. If we go back, so we have this relation. So this relation can be written in this form. After writing the relation between B and H. So B is equals to mu naught mu H vector. So we are putting that value here. D by dt is replaced by j omega. So we are going with respect to this. D by dt is replaced by that. Your j omega. B vector is equals to mu H vector. So then we have this relationship. In a similar way, curl of H vector can be expressed as sigma plus j omega E, sorry, j omega epsilon bracket E vector. These two remain same because we don't have any terms with respect to d by dt. So, if we take a curl of this one again, then we have curl into E vector, which is equals to minus j omega mu curl of H vector. Now this term can be replaced by this term. So we have curl into curl of E vector equals to this part. Now if we open it, then it will become minus j omega mu sigma E vector plus this vector, which can then be replaced by other vectors. Then it becomes your sigma square, so the curl square E plus curl of curl dot E vector. By using these relations, we can put these values. In free space, the space charge density is 0, and in a perfect conductor, time varying or static fields do not exist. So we can say that curl of curl dot D vector is equals to rho V equals to 0. Or we can say, if we put D equals to epsilon E, we can say curl of E vector is equals to 0. Then we can say that curl square E vector will be equals to sigma square E, where sigma is your propagation constant, or you can say the intrinsic propagation constant of the medium. Intrinsic because we are talking about inside the medium in which the wave is propagating, which is equals to, the constant is equals to under root of j omega mu sigma plus j omega epsilon. We can write it in form of complex alpha plus j beta. Alpha is your attenuation constant in Napier's per meter. Beta is your phase constant in radians per meter. Similarly, we can find for magnetic wave equation sigma square h equals to, sorry, curl square h vector will be equals to sigma square h. It should also be noted that double del or del square is a scalar operator. You must remember that when we multiply any two vectors, then the answer is always a scalar quantity. So in a similar way, we can say that curl dot curl will be equals to square of that curl, and it is a scalar quantity. So we can say curl square will be equals to d by dx square. It's a square here, it's missing. on this one. Then we have curl of square of dy square, curl of square of dz square. In cylindrical coordinate or circular coordinate, if you want to say, it will be this. In the spherical coordinates, it will be this. So if any question will comes with respect to the circular coordinates and spherical coordinate, then I'll provide you the value of these terms. Yeah. Now, if we solve them, then we can say that sigma square E, we are solving this one now. So it's a sigma square E, this one will be equals to mu sigma d by dt of E vector plus mu E d square E dt square. In a similar way, your curl square H vector will be equals to mu sigma curl of, sorry, d by dt of H vector plus mu E d square, or you can say the double differentiation of H vector. What we are doing is we are solving equation 2.11 and 2.12 simultaneously. So we need to see we are solving these two equations. So J vector will be replaced by sigma E, and here D will be replaced by epsilon E, and then you replace the remaining value depending upon these values here. And then you will achieve these equations. Now, using these terms, we have a theorem which is named as Poynting theorem, which find out the energy which can be transmitted through free space or any medium when we have electric and magnetic fields. So at what rate will electromagnetic energy be transmitted through free space or any medium which is stored using with the help of electric and magnetic field, and how much heat will be dissipated. So in terms of all these values, we can use Poynting theorem to find out your dissipation of heat. So from the standpoint of a complex power in terms of complex field vector, the time average of any two complex vector is equals to the real part of the product of the one complex vector multiplied by the complex conjugate of the other vector. Hence, the time average of instantaneous Poynting vector in a steady state is given by E vector is equals to E vector cross H vector. So we use E cross H vector to find out the time average of your Poynting theorem. So it will be half a real part of E vector cross H vector, where H vector is a complex conjugate here. So if you say with respect to the notations, the notation stands for the average, and the factor of 1/2 appears in the equation for complex power when peak values are used for complex quantities E vector and H vector. Real represents the real part of the complex power, and asterisk indicates the complex conjugate. So we need to use a E vector, and then we have to use a complex conjugate of it here. Maxwell equations in frequency domain. Now, if we use your Maxwell equations, we have curl of E vector is equals to minus j omega mu H vector, and curl of H vector is equals to j vector plus j omega epsilon E. If we do a dot multiplication of 2.23 by H complex part and of the conjugate by E vector yields, we have this, and it will be minus j omega mu H dot H star, or you can say complex conjugate, and curl of H complex dot E will be equals to J complex, because now we are using this one as complex. Then this will be complex also, and this will be complex also. Then it will be, we are using a complex, so there will be a minus sign with respect to this part. So it will be J complex minus J omega epsilon E complex dot E. So we can say that E vector dot because it's a scalar quantity, so we can reverse the order. So E vector dot curl cross H star minus H complex dot curl into E vector will be equals to E vector dot J complex minus J omega epsilon. If you multiply it inside, then it will be J omega epsilon E square, because complex part into real part of any number will be equals to your this, and this will be minus J omega mu H square. So this term will become come, and we can say that E vector dot E complex is equals to mod of E square, and H vector dot H complex is H square. The left-handed side of the equation is equals to curl dot E vector cross H vector by the vector identity. So we can say that this part your E vector cross, so we can replace it by curl of dot E vector cross H vector. This identity you need to remember that this complete term can be replaced by, I'm not sure whether you study it in your mathematics or not, but this complete part can be written as curl dot E vector cross H vector. This comes from your vector calculus. So then we substitute these values here. And if you see E vector dot J vector complex, as we know that J naught is also equals to sigma into E. So we can write it as minus E vector dot J vector. If we are putting it in here, this part, we are putting all these values of this part in this equation. Then it will be half sigma E vector dot E star J omega half mu H dot H star, or you can say a complex part, minus half epsilon E vector dot epsilon E star, and then plus curl dot P vector. So we are using this equation, this one, J vector is equals to JC plus J naught, and we are using this equation. This one, this equation. And then we are this 22 and 22a into equation 228, and we will get this part. Now, if we integrate this equation, then we have integration with terms of in volume integration we are doing. Half of E vector dot J naught vector dV equals to half sigma E vector square dV plus J omega 2W omega m minus omega E dV, and we are using a surface integral of P vector dot with respect to this. It will be this because we have this curl. So when we will do the integration, the volume will change to your surface integration. So we have this is basically the time average dissipated power. This is your time average magnetic stored energy, this one. And electric W is the time average electric stored energy. And minus half E vector dot G is the complex power impressed by the source J naught into the field. So if you are providing any source, then this is the power impressed, means force by that particular source. This equation is also known as complex Poynting theorem or the Poynting theorem in frequency domain. Furthermore, if we let that P in is equals to this is your input, the total complex power supplied by this source within a region. PD is equals to half epsilon mod of E square dV with the time average power dissipated as heat inside the region. and omega minus, sorry, Wm minus We is equals to volume Wm minus We dV be the difference between time average magnetic and electric energy stored within the region. And PTR is your transmitted power in the region, complex. So it's P vector dot D vector. So we can say the complex Poynting theorem shown in equation can be simplified to P in equals to PD plus J2 omega, omega M minus omega E, this notation you need to remember, plus PTR. So this theorem states that the total complex power fed into a volume is equals to the algebraic sum of the active power dissipated as heat plus the reactive power proportional to the difference between time average magnetic and electric energy stored in the volume plus the complex power transmitted across the surface enclosed by the volume. Now we have different types of regions in which we propagate our waves, basically the electromagnetic waves. So depending upon the types of waves we are reflecting and the waves are propagate through it, they reflect through it, and they refract also. So if we define a uniform plane wave, a plane wave is a wave whose phase is constant over a set of planes. A uniform plane wave is a wave whose magnitude and phase are both constant. A spherical wave in free space is a uniform plane wave as observed at a far distance. Its equiphase surfaces are concentric sphere expanding as the wave travels outward from the source and its magnitude is constant. Electromagnetic waves in free space are typical uniform plane waves. The electric and magnetic fields are mutually perpendicular to each other and to the direction of propagation. So basically, if we say the EM waves, so we have electric and magnetic waves. They are perpendicular to each other together with the direction of propagation. So we can say we have X, Y, and Z coordinate. So if electric field is traveling in X direction, magnetic field is traveling in Y direction, then my wave will travel in Z direction to make it as your electromagnetic waves in free space. So the phases of the two fields are always in time phase and their magnitude are always constant. The stored energies are equally divided into between the fields, and the energy flow is transmitted by the two fields in the direction of propagation. Thus, a uniform plane wave is transverse electromagnetic wave or TEM wave. A non-uniform plane wave is a wave whose amplitude bracket not phase may vary within a normal direction of propagation. Consequently, the electric and magnetic fields are no longer in time phase. Since a uniform plane waves of electric or magnetic field has no variation of intensity in plane normal to the direction of propagation of the wave, then we can say that d by dx E is equals to 0 and d by dy E is equals to 0. In a similar way, they are also 0. So if you understand what I said earlier, to use that, we have electric field in X direction, magnetic field in Y direction. Or you can say the electric field exists in the X direction and magnetic field exists in Y direction. And the wave is propagating in Z direction. So if we take a differentiation of E vector with respect to X and Y direction, then they will be equals to 0. In a similar way, this variation is also 0. Since a uniform plane wave of electric has no variation of intensity in a plane normal to the direction of propagation of wave. Why this is that? The waves are only, electric and magnetic field are only varying in the direction of propagation. They are constant in remaining two directions. If the direction is propagation is assumed to be a positive Z direction. So with the preceding assumptions and lossless dielectric, that is sigma is equals to 0, the wave equation in time domain for the electric and magnetic field intensity in free space for rectangular coordinate reduces to this part. So d by dz square Ex. So we are differentiating them twice with respect to your time. It will be equals to mu naught epsilon naught uniform plane wave. So we can say that mu r is equals to mu naught, epsilon r is equals to, epsilon is equals to epsilon naught. So it will be d by dt square Ex. In the similar way, magnetic field is also like this. It's in x direction electric field, magnetic field is in y direction. Now, with no loss in generality, it can be assumed that the electric field intensity is given by Ex will be equals to E naught, e raised to the power j omega t is due to the electric field. This part is coming due to the electric field, and minus beta z is coming due to the propagation direction, and beta is the constant in that direction. If we take your omega outside, then it will be t minus b divided by omega into z. Now, if we put our curl equation into this, and curl of E vector will be equals to minus j omega mu naught h. So we can say that d by dz of Ex will be equals to minus j omega mu naught hy, because electric field is existing only in your x direction, and it's varying with in z direction, and magnetic field is existing only in y direction. Okay. Now, if we differentiate with respect to z and substituting the resultant equation this, so if we use this here with respect to this, then we have hy will be equals to this. So what we are doing is we are putting this value here, and we are differentiating it with respect to z. So when you differentiate it with respect to z, then you have beta and omega, which will come out of the equation. When you differentiate this part, e raised to the power at, let's say e raised to the power az will be equals to, differentiation will be equals to a into e raised to the power az. So this a part, when you will put here, you use this equation and this equation, and when you will solve them, then it will be equals to hy will be equals to under root of epsilon naught divided by mu naught into Ex. What assumptions are done here? That beta divided by omega is equals to under root of mu naught into E naught epsilon naught, which is equals to 1 divided by Vp, is accounted for in the derivation. Vp is basically equals to 1 divided by permeability in free space and permittivity in free space under root, which is equals to 3 into 10 raised to the power 8 meter per second is your phase velocity. Alpha is equals to 0 for uniform plane wave, and beta will be then equals to this, which is a phase constant. The ratio of electric to magnetic intensity is given by Ex divided by hy. Ex divided by hy will be equals to under root of mu naught divided by epsilon naught is equals to 877 ohm. Then you will find the unit of them using the units of these both two, and it will be the unit of ohm, and we can say that this is the intrinsic impedance of the free space. We are in free space, that's why mu is equals to mu naught, epsilon is equals to epsilon naught. So this is the waveform which is shown with respect to this. So shows uniform electric and magnetic waves in rectangular coordinates. In general, for a uniform plane wave propagating in lossless dielectric medium, sigma equals to 0 and beta is equals to this. Eta is equals to under root mu naught epsilon, or you can say eta naught divided by epsilon r. If it's propagating through a medium which is not free space, then we can represent it as like this. Why? Epsilon is equals to epsilon r into epsilon naught. So under root mu naught divided by epsilon naught will be equals to eta naught. Then Vp will be equals to this, or we can say it will be C divided by epsilon r.